Hey guys, Tarke here, and in today's video I'm going to talk about the whole Archnemesis modifier thing, while we have a nice calm sleeping dog, because a lot of the conversation around Archnemesis is very heated at the moment. So I was someone who was actually really enjoying the overtuned gameplay, but I was fully like, this is crazy overtuned. And GGG has actually since then said, look, this is not quite right in terms of balance, and they've posted a full list of the Archnemesis modifiers. My first reaction is, why wasn't this a developer manifest that happened before the league? I spoke about it on Baycast. Is what it is. This should have been fully communicated. If we'd had access to this full list early on, I don't think we would have gotten to this point. I can understand that if they'd posted this full list, people would be like, this is ridiculous, what are you doing, GGG? And they probably would be like, look, we'd rather players actually experienced it, because the game is so crazy now that if you tell players that this enemy is going to have like 100% more life, that seems ridiculous, but in practice that isn't that bad. I can completely understand that. The problem is how these modifiers interact together, and then certain specific modifiers that just disable and brick certain builds. So, for example, we have modifiers which are enemies cannot leech from you, which just stops a whole bunch of builds from functioning. Stuff that drains your flasks, which then breaks certain flask builds. For example, I'm playing a Ice Trapper, which is all about freezing enemies. A very low tier, very common modifier is immune to cold ailments, plus 50 cold res, plus 10 maximum cold res. And it's like, okay, cool. So I can't freeze the enemy, which is my main form of defense in my build, and the enemy has 50 cold res and plus 10 maximum cold res. Great. In isolation, that's kind of okay. But then I'll get like that modifier plus another modifier, which is like plus 50% spell block. Or I'll get that plus like a regen mod, which not only gives the enemy crazy regen, it then disables my regen. And then it's like, hang on, no, this isn't quite right. The other slight problem that you get from this, or quite big problem, is this is the baseline of all magic and rare monsters going forward, which then means that it then doesn't play very well with the league mechanics that then further enhance those. For example, like Sentinel League. Also stuff like Metamorph. Metamorph is beyond ridiculous, this league. I've encountered random metamorphs in yellow maps, which are scarier than like tier 16 content I was doing last league. And the reason why Archnemesis, while there were like problem Archnemesis mods last league, wasn't like completely build destroying, is you chose what modifiers you put in last league. So let's say that you were playing a leech build and you saw Vampiric, which disables your leech. You could be like, me smart, me no interact with that. Whereas when that's just then spread across the whole entire pool, that doesn't really work. There's the reflect ones, which the enemy has reflects, and it's like, cool, you just delete yourself if you're playing a build which dies to reflect, which is a lot of builds, which, you know, isn't ideal gameplay. They removed the reflect aura from rares way back in the game because they established like that's not fun. So to then see stuff like that creep back in isn't great. Generally, I think this all kind of boils down to immunities aren't fun. I'm not a massive fan of immunities in systems like Expedition, but if, for example, you get a box in Expedition which is like immune to cold damage, and me playing a cold build, I activate that box, that's on me, that's my fault. Me just like walking up to a rare which has got like over 100 stacked cold resistance, 50% reduced effective curses on it, some kind of regen or like avoidance modifier, well then that's on the game, right? That's not on me. So yeah. In terms of solutions or improvements, I don't really want to see everything gutted, because I have been enjoying the harder gameplay. It's just like every 5 maps I run, I'll encounter that one problem. I think the situation more is looking at how these modifiers pool, and maybe having it so you can't like stack a lot of these together. Also, rewards is a big thing as well. If the rewards were crazy, I think people would be feeling a lot better about it. And GGG in the post were like, hey, but like, we've put really good rewards on the really rare, really dangerous ones. And I think what the problem might be, I could be wrong, because again, I don't know the finer tunings of this, I think they've tied the rewards based to like the rarity of like a fully completed recipe. So if you go all the way to the bottom of the Archnemesis list and it's like Brine King touched or Aberrath touched and stuff like that, those probably have the best rewards on them. But a lot of those modifiers aren't as scary, for my build anyway, to compare to just like Frostweaver, which is the really basic plus 50 cold res, immune to cold ailments, plus 10 maximum cold res. A lot of the like early and mid tier, like scrub ones, they do enough to just disable certain builds like immune to scorch or like immune to sap or immune to brittle, that is way more dangerous and way more punitive to go against than like, yo, this rare just hits really hard. Because stuff which is just like, yo, this rare just hits really hard is fine, in my opinion. It's just, again, stuff which turns off builds is never fun. Maybe look into it to stop stuff like 50% chance to avoid projectiles, plus 50% block, plus a regen modifier, or like plus a crazy resistance modifier. Inquisitors are laughing this league. There's so much just random elemental resistance thrown all over the place that it's like, yeah, go Inquis, spec ignore resist node. But anyway, let me know what you're thinking. Hopefully whatever changes GGG does make going forward are well communicated. Communication. It's a little bit frustrating, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm Tarke. Have a good day. Overtuned mechanics are fun for me, but I can completely understand that this is definitely too much. But bye.